Good afternoon. Justine Asal with Invest USA 360 and Pippa Murray with Florida Property Agent. We're joining you today, and we appreciate you taking the time out from your evening or your afternoon, depending on what time zone that you're on, to go through some information on the buying process as a non-U.S. resident. Just a little bit about Invest USA 360. We are the information hub to buy, invest, and live in the USA. It is not a site that sells real estate per se. However, we do work with top experts in each city and each region for real estate, various different types of real estate, whether it be for commercial use or residential, holiday homes, and sometimes residential. We work with a variety of different top immigration attorneys, international tax preparers and attorneys, and just about any experts that you'd need in order to assemble a team for purchasing in the U.S. as a non-U.S. resident. So we are located in Florida, and we will be presenting on various different cities and states. But for the purpose of today's discussion, we're going to focus on Florida, and we're going to focus on Orlando, Florida. So each market is different. The U.S. is such a large, vast market, and the real estate laws do vary depending on where you are from state to state. So it's a little bit difficult just to cover the entire topic, but this is the beginning of a video series that we'll be doing, and we'll continue doing these on and on, and should get around to just about every topic. We do invite you, if you have questions on a specific area or a specific topic, to just send a comment in there, to email us at info@investusa360, whether it's for real estate, for immigration, for tax, for currency exchange, how to open a bank account. We're going to cover a lot of those topics. And if you check on our YouTube channel, you'll find that there are some informational videos there already. So for today, as I mentioned, we're going to just get a little bit more detail than we perhaps have done in the videos that we currently show on our YouTube, and that is going to be for really investment properties that are rental properties in the Orlando area. So I'm going to pause for a moment and let Pippa go through a presentation that she has. Again, if any of you have any questions, please feel free to send them in the comments. You should have a comments box, and forgive us because we're new doing webinars. So we may have some technical issues, and we're learning, certainly not learning real estate, but we're learning the webinar process as we go. So forgive our newness with it, if you would. And anyway, on to you, Pip.
Hi, I'm Pippa Murray, obviously the Florida Property Agent. The first thing is what to consider when purchasing.
Feel free to send them in the comments. You should have a comments box, and forgive us because we're new doing webinars. So we may have some technical issues.
Excuse us for 1 minute.
Certainly not learning real estate, but we're learning the webinar process again. So forgive our newness with it, if you would. And anyway, on to you.
Hi, I'm Pippa Murray, obviously the Florida Property Agent. The first thing is what to consider when purchasing.
Why? And forgive us because we're new doing webinars. So we may have some technical issues.
Excuse us for 1 minute.
Certainly not learning real estate, but we're learning the webinar process. Yeah, so forgive our newness with it, if you would. And anyway, on to you.
Hi, I'm Pippa Murray, obviously the Florida Property Agent. The first thing is what to consider when purchasing.
Why? And forgive us because we're new doing webinars. So we may have some technical issues.
Excuse us for 1 minute.
Certainly not learning real estate, but we're learning the webinar. Yeah, so forgive our newness with it, if you would. And anyway, on to you.
Hi, I'm Pippa Murray, obviously the Florida Property Agent. The first thing is what to consider when purchasing.
Why? And forgive us because we're new doing webinars. So we may have some technical issues. Certainly not learning real estate, but we're learning the webinar. Yeah, so forgive our newness with it, if you would. And anyway, on to you.
Hi, I'm Pippa Murray, obviously the Florida Property Agent. The first thing is what to consider when purchasing.
Why? Okay, good job. I mentioned that we're brand new to doing webinars because obviously we don't know what we're doing. So good job that we do real estate for our day job. So I believe that we've just focused on fixing the technical issue that we had. I don't know if you were hearing the feedback that we were, but it was confusing us. So we're back to at what stage are you in the process? So I'll let Pippa just go back to. Good job. I mentioned that we're brand new to do webinars because obviously we don't know what we're doing. So good job that we do real estate for our day job. So I believe that we've just focused on fixing the technical issue that we had. I don't know if you were hearing feedback that we were, but it was confusing us. So we're back to at what stage are you in the process? So I'll let Pippa just go back to. Good job. I mentioned that we're brand new to do webinars. This is crazy. It's not working. I'm going to unmute. Okay, bye.
All right, let me check it. Let me check it on my speakers. All right, good.
Hi, this is Justine. I think we are fixing audio issues at this point.
Unmute.
Nope, nope, here we go again. It's
Okay. Right.
All right,
nope.
let me check it. Let me check it on my speakers.
Testing. Jeff, can you hear everything? Jeff, I'm going to keep on speaking. Hopefully it doesn't start playing back again. If anybody is out there, I apologize. We shouldn't yet have gone live because we obviously needed to do some more testing on this. And I think at this point, perhaps we are back in business. Doesn't seem to be playing back to me. So if it's not playing back to me, then perhaps we can. Nope.
Can you hear everything?
Nope, here we go. Okay, let's continue on, see if we can make this work. So we're having echoing, in case anybody's listening still. We're having an echo in the background, and that's what we're trying to work out. So hopefully we can continue now and not have this echo. So, but let's try it again with the PowerPoint. Let me share my screen with everybody so that you can see the PowerPoint that we're doing.
Let's continue on, see if we can make this work.
There we go.
So we're having echoing, in case anybody's listening still. We're having an echo.
Turning it down. There we go. So let's just continue. Okay.
Can I hear us? Try it again with the PowerPoint. Let me share my screen with everybody so that you can see the PowerPoint that we're doing. Let's continue on, see if we can make this work. So we're having echoing, in case anybody's listening still. Turning it down. So let's just continue. Okay.
Okay, you know what? I wonder if that's just fixed it. I had YouTube open too.
Let me share my screen with everybody so that you can see the PowerPoint.
No, that isn't fixed.
And continue on. If they command or
You know what? I've just figured out what it is.
Echoing, in case anybody listening don't.
I know what it is. Okay, just figured out what the issue was. Okay, so for everybody, so that now you know, you can't have YouTube open and Zoom at the same time. So now I've just figured out what the issue is. So now we are off and away. Finally, let's get to our PowerPoint. If any of you are out there listening, I apologize, but we are actually moving ahead now. Okay, we're off and away. Let's go, Pip.
Okay, so let's get back to what to consider when you're purchasing. First thing to consider is at what stage you are in the process. Are you ready to buy this year, next year, or whenever it is? Second, why are you purchasing it? Do you want to use it yourselves, or do you want to just put it out in a rental program out there and try and get some of your costs back for running the home? You have to decide what's important for you. Why are you purchasing? Next thing to consider is your budget. How much do I want to spend? Now, you can mortgage things in the US where you have to put a 30% deposit, so you can finance 70% of the purchase. And again, what is important to you in a home over here? What do you want? How many bedrooms? What condo? Do you want a townhome? So they're all things to consider before you even start your process of purchasing here in Orlando. And then you got to choose whether you want a resort or a subdivision. Difference between those is that resorts have hotel amenities, hotel style amenities, swimming pools, usually water parks, tennis courts, basketball courts, etc. Or do you want to go to a more residential kind of area where they don't have all of those amenities? So again, it's important, whatever you choose, that's what you need to be looking for. Justine, do you want to talk about what they need?
I can do, but I'd like for you to talk about doing a bank account and an ITIN, if you would, and then I'll go over mortgages.
Do that. What do you need as a non-US resident before purchasing over here or during the process, really? First things, you have to open a US bank account. We can help you do that. It's very simple. Just need 2 forms of ID. Take probably 45 minutes in a bank. We will have your bank account opened. Second, you have to sit with an accountant because you do need an ITIN number, which is a tax identification number. This allows you to pay the tax annually over here as you are making an income, as it were. So you will need an ITIN number. Before you come over, I would probably get pre-qualified with a mortgage broker. Again, it's an easy process. They'll just ask you a few questions and it'll at least give you an idea of how much you are able to afford before you get here. Before you come over, bring, if you can, proof of funds. You can blank out everything on your bank account statements, but bring some sort of proof of funds, even if it's from an accountant. That makes it easier when you're purchasing, negotiating wise.
I'm going to jump in as well.
Sure.
I think it's extremely important from a mortgage point of view. For anybody that's watching this, hopefully you're watching and taking all of this into account slightly further in advance than you would have done if you had just come over and immediately started looking at properties. And the point of that is that the process, certainly if you're getting a mortgage, is extraordinarily detailed. And what you know in advance can definitely help to make it a more streamlined process. So what I mean by that is if the type of property that you're looking at and it qualifies for a mortgage, and there are several things that will go into further detail on that. So does the type of property that you're looking at qualify for the mortgage that you are looking to get? Now, as a non-US resident, you do need to verify quite a few things. One of them is that you have the deposit funds, that you have enough money to put down. So if that's going to be 30% or whatever that deposit is, the mortgage company is going to need to see that that money has been sitting in your bank account for a minimum of 60 days. So very often people will move money from one account to another. Each time you do this, you have to show that 60-day trail back in that bank account. Obviously, if you're moving money from a business then over to an account and then you move it to another account, that's 3 sets of documentation going back 60 days that you need to do on each. So when I say the process can be streamlined, it's take a look now, think about what it is that you're going to be looking for, what type of a deposit are you looking to put down, and place that money in your bank account so that it's really just been sitting there for a good period of time. You do need 2 clean bank statements in order to not have to go back further and further. And not that you can't prove that money, it just becomes a lot more documentation, and it can make the process frustrating when it doesn't actually need to be. So again, hopefully we're catching you early enough in the process here so that you know exactly what you're doing, and you can kind of get everything set so that when you're ready to get going on the purchase, you're good to go. Thank you.
Sure. So now you're ready, you've got all of these things in place, and you're ready to actually purchase, which is what we all hope for. Just a little bit about the process. It's quite different from overseas here. You'll have a realtor that you'll be working with who is taking care of your every need. They're your eyes and ears on the ground over here. Once you find a property that you like, you will then put an offer in to either the developer if it's a new home, or it would be to the seller if it's a resale. Once you've gone counter offered and gone backwards and forwards, you'll come up with a price that you all agree, and you'll move forward, contracts signed, and then you'll move forward into the inspection period, where you will obtain a full inspection of the home, full home inspection.
Can I
please
interject?
Yeah.
Go back if you would just 1 second, and let's talk about the differences in putting an offer in, because here in our market, everything has to be done in writing.
Correct.
As opposed to other markets where often you put verbal contracts in.
Correct.
So would you just cover that a little bit? Why can you not do multiple offers on things? Because it is a seller's market at the moment.
It is a seller's market, and if a lot of people come over and find 3 properties that they like, for instance, they'll say to their realtor, okay, put 3 offers on all 3 properties. This is not the way to do it, because what may end up happening is all 3 sellers would come back and agree that they'll give you it for that price, therefore you're under contract for 3 different properties. So that is not the way to do it. Find one that you like, do your first contract, put it in writing. If it comes back and it's a no-go, then go down to your second property and do it that way. Do not put multiple offers out.
But this goes back as well to then why you need to have a realtor that is working with you. And again, I think this is a very big difference from market to market. Certainly, I know from several other countries that we have a lot of clients from. Usually, prospective buyers will go out and they'll find 3 or 4 or 5 different real estate or estate agents or realtors or real estate agents. So just going back, we use those terms quite, we interchange them. But a real estate agent is a licensed professional in the U.S. And again, speaking specifically about Florida right now, a real estate agent is somebody who has passed the real estate test and does continuing education to keep that license active. Now, a realtor is a licensed real estate agent that then belongs to the Board of Realtors, which is the professional association local to their region. And that real estate agent then adheres to an even stricter set of ethics than even the real estate licensing requires. So certainly having a realtor who is working for you is number 1 thing that anybody should look to do. There is no way to go around a realtor really and get something cheaper if you don't work with a realtor, because the fact is it's the seller that pays for the realtor. Although the realtor is actually working in your case, if you were to be looking as a buyer, the realtor is actually working for you. So I'll let Pip then explain what the realtor actually does for you, because it's a lot more than many people imagine. And it doesn't actually behoove you to have 3 or 4 or 5 realtors working for you, because it's a bit of a commitment from both sides. So the the best advice that we can have is, or that we can give, is to spend the time before you choose your realtor and interview 3 or 4 up front. Decide who you feel the most comfortable with, because you will be spending a good bit of time and they're going to become your eyes and ears. And as you can see, they really do need to guide you because you're not here and you don't know the rules. So you need to feel very comfortable with them. But as far as having multiple ones, if you're not committing to them, they're off then working with other clients because they're only paid at the point of a sale. So it just isn't necessary to have more than one realtor, and it's actually kind of works against you, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, most realtors, as Justine's just explained, they are a member of the real estate board. Now, becoming a member of the real estate board actually gives us access to what they call the MLS, which is the multiple listing service. This actually lists every single property in the state of Florida that's on the market. So if you were to give a realtor that you were working with exactly what you're looking for, you're looking for 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, I don't want to have a look at the back, all of your different things that you want, we will input that into the MLS and it will bring out what's available, what you need. Now, if I do it as your realtor and you have another realtor, they're going to do the same thing. So you're actually going to end up viewing multiple properties multiple times. So there's absolutely no point in having more than one realtor. Choose somebody that you work with, they can ask the questions, they're answering the questions correctly for you. Realtors we have to be aware of what is going on in the market over here. For instance, if you like the house and it has nothing at the back, it's up to us to find out for you what is future of that potential, what can potentially be put on that land. It's little bits and pieces like this that we have to be aware of. So choose a realtor that you work well with. You feel comfortable asking them any questions, even if you think they're stupid questions. They're never stupid questions. So just, again, choose somebody you're happy with.
And somebody that communicates very well with you. So I think 2 extremely important points to look at when, number one is who are you comfortable with. And a very good communication, but you need somebody who's an expert in the area that you're looking. So for instance, if there's somebody in Miami, they really shouldn't be, unless they're very familiar with Sarasota or Orlando, or you want somebody that understands that market and is an expert on that market. And there's no way that a realtor can know every part of Orlando. They work in certain areas, and so you definitely need somebody who knows the ins and outs of the area and what you're looking. Just as Pippa had just mentioned, what's going on in future development in that area. These are all things that you need to know because they lead to rises and drops in property values potentially. In addition to that, working with non-U.S. residents or international clients is very different than working with a local prospective buyer who is looking to see what the local schools are like, and their needs are completely different. So as a non-U.S. resident, you're not in the country. There is an entire team of experts that you need in order to help facilitate this. And it's a realtor that's going to help in many respects to put that team together for you. So you need to have confidence in the realtor, confidence in all of the different referrals that they're going to make for you. So that is where to open a bank account, who understands international taxes. And when we say international taxes, it's not to scare anybody, but if you're looking to get an income producing property, then you will be paying taxes annually, just as Americans do. However, the tax requirements for you may be slightly different. So nothing to be afraid of, nothing that's overly expensive. It just is one of the costs that you factor in each year, but it isn't perhaps the same accountant that does somebody who's working and lives here. It is somebody that specializes in needs and requirements for a non-U.S. resident. So that team is extremely important. Very often, if you're working with somebody who is not accustomed to working with international buyers, they may not have that team in place. And usually they will have them, and they'll know where to take. So it doesn't matter what the question is. Pippa just said, if you're coming up with questions and they're good questions and you need to ask every one of them, and very often that then may need to be referred over to another expert because our job isn't to have all of the answers, and we're certainly not attorneys. However, we know the attorneys that do have the answers. We know all of the professionals that can answer those questions for you. And over to you.
And thank you. So we've now purchased our home here. We have our beautiful home and we're ready to do what with it? So you've got to choose that. Would you like to short-term rent it or would you like to long-term rent it? Two different options, but usually people go for short-term rental when they're purchasing in what they call a short-term rental area, which is zoned over here. So what's included in short-term rental? This is you can rent your property anywhere from 1 night up to 6 months. So it can be usually 1 or 2 weeks. People come on vacation. That's what they take it for. What are the costs of doing this? These are just questions that you should be asking. How much can I expect for bookings? How many weeks can I expect a year? Do I pay tax? These are all questions you should be asking. So the answers to most of them are, what are the costs? Well, obviously you have all your utility costs of running the home. You have a management fee, which is everybody charges differently, but you do have a monthly management fee. Can you think of anything more on the management side? No.
Yeah, actually, I've got a few. I'm not keeping up with you here. I've got a few. A few points. Why would you do a short-term rental as opposed to a long-term rental? And the answer to that is if you're looking to spend time in the house yourself. Otherwise, a long-term rental may be easier. So it really comes down to what is your intention with the property. If you are simply purchasing this property as an investment and you have no intention of coming and staying and holidaying or vacationing in it, then a long-term rental may be the way to go. It's perhaps less hassle in the long run. Although if you have a very good management company, and again, this is something that where you begin is with your realtor. So the realtor is going to or should take you to probably 2 to 3 different management companies, and you need to interview those management companies. The management company should be very upfront with the costs and how they manage those so that you understand and there's complete clarity in there. What is it going to cost me? Additionally, where are they getting their bookings? What are the sources of their market or the sources of their bookings that they're marketing for? So where they're getting their bookings makes a big difference. I'll give you a very good example. You may have one management company who may rent the house out for 40 weeks a year, and you may have another one that rents it out for 40 weeks a year, but not all rentals are the same. So management company A is booking, a couple and 2 kids, and they're going to stay in the house for 10 days, and that's fine. And company B may be filling the house with, let's say, and I'm not looking to say that one is better than the other. I'm just saying leave it to you. But what if there is a kids sports team that's coming in and they're going to cram all of the kids into the house, which may happen from time to time. But if that's where a lot of the bookings are coming from athletic teams and traveling sports teams, one may have a whole lot more wear and tear on the home than the other. So it is important to know where are the bookings coming from and what type of bookings overall is that management company attracting. Because in the end, it's your home. So you want the least amount of wear and tear as possible. So I think that's all I have to add on that one.
And that's kind of covered that, I would think, the whole short-term rental. Do you want me to go into some of the costs? Do you think that's interesting for people then?
I think probably we can go into a whole different seminar on that. Yeah, I think what we'll do, if anybody's interested in that, why don't you send us a message? We've just put up a couple of short-term rental videos up on our YouTube channel, so I definitely suggest you take a look at those. And then in the next month, we will be scheduling a webinar when we finally have all of the kinks figured out. We know what we're doing. We'll be inviting a management company to come and join us and do a webinar, and then we can get really into the costs of that.
It really is a whole webinar.
It is a whole webinar, yeah. So I think probably today, for the purpose of today, especially since we wasted 10 minutes on technical issues again, that we just kind of do an overview of each of them. But short-term rentals are great. I think with anything, it's a matter of understanding what it is that you're getting into so that your expectations are correct. It's a fabulous way to make a vacation or a holiday rental or a holiday home help cover its own costs. Most companies will allow you to also participate in adding rentals in. So I think the most, probably the most successful people with homes that they put in short-term rentals are those that participate to a certain extent with the rentals, and then have a very good relationship with the management company that they're working with. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
I would say to everybody purchasing, don't just let the management company do all of the bookings. Get involved yourself. It's pretty easy. We'll tell you on another webinar how to do that, but it is very easy, and yeah, it does definitely help.
I mean, you have quite a big sphere of influence, each of us do. So if you consider all of the people that you know that are coming to Florida, if you simply market your home to them, most of the time you can work with the management company. So you simply refer them over, you can give them whatever rate it is that you'd like, and then you don't need to deal with the day-to-day booking of it, but you can refer over and add a good bit of business into it. So anyway, enough about that one, about short-term rentals. So various different resort communities in the area. And again, different resorts are completely different. There really isn't any answer that is correct for any one of these. I think the best thing that you could possibly do with anything, if it's a short-term rental and you're looking to buy a holiday home, the best thing that we can do is have you contact us before you're looking to come over here, so that again we can make sure, do you need to speak to a mortgage broker, and can we get all of the T's crossed and the I's dotted before you come over, and then plan to come over and do an inspection visit. Where one of the team will come and pick you up at the airport if necessary, or meet you at the property. We can help arrange for you to stay in one of these properties, and you come over, visit all of the different top resort communities, and there it's really a matter of just kind of business meets your heart. It's you're going to buy with emotion, and then you put rentals into it to help justify the purchase, but it has to be something that you love. So, the whole point of this is that it's a luxury purchase, and it's supposed to make you happy. So it's not supposed to completely strap you where you can't then pay your bills. It's not supposed to just be a rental. It's supposed to be something fun that you and your family enjoy, and and then you help offset the bill, or you make a bit of money with it while you're renting it. And if that's the way that you're considering this and the thought process that you're using, I think you can't go wrong at that point. Then we look, so that's short-term rental, and that's what all of these resort communities are. And when we say resort communities, they absolutely will just, blow your socks off with how gorgeous they are and the amenities that they now put in those. So that's a holiday home, vacation home, many of which are then put into short-term rental programs. On the other hand, if you are considering just a straight investment property that you're not going to come on holiday in or stay in, then we're looking at long-term rentals.
Long-term rentals are usually in a residential area rather than a short-term rental area. So if you're going to long-term rental, this means you cannot rent it for less than 6 months. So you usually get a year lease on the property that you're renting out. With doing a long-term rental, you don't have to pay the utilities. The only thing that you're going to be responsible paying for would be your annual property taxes. And if there's an HOA, which is a homeowners association, if there's one of those within the community that you buy, you will be responsible for that too. So they're the two things that you will be responsible for. And again, you still do need to have a management company, because you need somebody going around to the house once every month, or once every 2 months, just to check to see that the house is still in good condition. And that really that covers long-term rental. It's an easier process. So if you don't want to stay in your home that you own over here, just put it in long-term rental.
And again, taking time to interview a management company. Excuse me, please. That is renting in that area. Excuse me, please. It's very important that you work with a company that's local. you know, and specializes in long-term rentals. You know, a long-term rental is different in that you're not putting people in there for 10 days at a time. You're putting somebody in there for a year or two, or, you know, from usually 9 months or a year, very common leases. But credit checks need to be done, and you know, following all of the local laws as far as, you know, what information you can take from them, making sure that you are abiding by you know, all of the local ordinances. These are things that the management company will be responsible for letting you know and for handling on your behalf, in fact. So again, they are your eyes and ears, and there are considerations when you are an absentee owner, which, you know, if you're in a different country, then obviously you're not here to manage all of that. So that property management company needs to be a company that has very good communication with you, very good communication. I think that has to be probably the main point there.
Absolutely.
That you feel very comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable with it, then keep interviewing and ask your realtor to introduce you to more so that you do feel comfortable.
Correct. And just make sure you know how they're going to pay you every month. The best thing to do is just organise a standing order or a direct debit from their account straight into your account every month, and then that's the easiest way to do it.
All right, so how long can I expect a lease? Again, please excuse my newness at doing webinars, because obviously I'm not following the PowerPoint along with what we're going on with here.
We've covered most of that.
We have. I just forgot to do.
Sorry.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't be getting paid for my
You won't be
webinar
getting paid.
skills. No, not for today. All right. So Tuscany Preserve. Tell us a bit about Tuscany Preserve, if you will, because I think this is an exciting new project that you're working with.
Absolutely. Tuscany Preserve is based in Kissimmee. It's a long-term rental. It's not short-term. There is no short-term rentals in here. Various different properties in there. It's a gated community. It has got a clubhouse. It does have the swimming pool there. It does have the tennis courts. So for a long-term rental, it's a great area. They start with 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom quads, which are...
What's a quad?
Quad. Okay, what's a quad? The easiest way to describe a quad is if you can imagine a building with 4 condominiums in it, one on each corner. That's the easiest way to describe a quad, I think.
It's a 4-unit building. You'd be buying 1/4 of the building.
Correct.
Yeah.
Again, 2-bed, 2-bath. You don't need to furnish these as well, which is different from short-term rental, because obviously the long-term rentals will be bringing their own furniture. So the 2-beds, 2-baths are starting from $152,000. That's dollars. So it's a very inexpensive way to get into the ladder over here. You would only actually need 30% of that because you can finance 70%. Now this particular project, which is nice, is doing an 18-month lease back guarantee. Now what does this mean? So basically what this means is they're going to guarantee that property is going to be leased back from you for 18 months at a set fee per month. So that's what you can expect to get every month on the lease back guarantee. That takes out any hesitation that you might have of not being able to rent it, because that's how strongly the management company feels that they can rent it when they're going to give you a lease back guarantee. So this is a great project. They also we have 3-bedroom townhomes in there, and we have 5-bedroom townhomes in there. Again, great long-term rental properties. 2 bedrooms are starting from 190. Sorry, not 2 bedrooms. 3 bedrooms are starting from 199,900, and the 5 bedrooms are starting at 225,000. So very inexpensive and a great way to get into the ladder over here on the property ladder. They have, how many units do they have in Tuscany?
Well, they just opened the first phase of NOAA Estates within Tuscany Preserve. NOAA Estates of the townhouses, the 3 or 5 bedroom that you mentioned.
Yeah.
The 3 bedrooms of the first phase that they've just completed building are all sold.
Right.
Those are all sold. And I think that there are 3 5-bedrooms left. However, the next block is under construction and will be done within about 90 days. So the great part about this particular project is the building is ongoing. It will continue to go for a good while, because it's in a large neighboring town, which is called Poinciana, which is an incredibly fast-growing area of town. Again, not for short-term rentals. It's not a holiday area per se. And this particular community doesn't allow for short-term rentals. So who you'd be looking at is renters, and it is a very strong rental community. A lot of the people that work at Disney live in Poinciana, and you know, workers from Kissimmee and varying areas. It has a very strong rental market. So fantastic place to own a rental, but again, it wouldn't be a property that you would holiday in just because it won't allow for that. So as far as the quads, in the last week, so we just met with the developer yesterday. In the last week, they have sold all of the quads. So I know that they had, I think, 6 that were remaining from the week before. So they are selling quite quickly at this point. But the great news is it only takes 90 to 120 days before the next ones will be back online. So perfect timing if you are looking to get a mortgage. The mortgage takes about 60 days. So even if a property is under construction right now, you'd be looking about a month after you finished your mortgage process. So either way you look at it, it's good to go, and you begin renting it for probably September, October kind of time.
I think as well that what would you have to pay in Tuscany? You know, owning a property in Tuscany Preserve and you long-term rented it out, and you gave it to us or gave it to the management company to lease back for 18 months. What would you have to pay? So there's only 2 things that you'd have to pay, and that's your HOA, homeowners association fee, and the taxes on the property. Now the taxes on the property for this particular one, it's all based on the appraisal value of the property, but I would say would be no more than $2,000 a year. Correct me if I'm wrong, Justine.
Thereabouts, yes.
And the HOA in here is very inexpensive. It is, off the top of my head, what?
$200.
It's about $200 a month. So they're the only things that you'd be responsible to pay for in Tuscany Preserve. Great area.
All right, so lots of long-term rental. That's a true investment project. I mean, I guess if you were looking to buy one, you could leave it empty and you could come and stay in it, but that's a completely different thing. So if that's actually what you were looking to do, you know, we'll move on to the next property that does give you a bit of both. You know, the other thing, so we've got these quads there, and you can see that up on the screen. You know, it may be interesting as well for somebody who, you know, because it's $152,000, there really aren't any upgrades that you need to do in there. Remember, it's a rental project, so it's not as though there's a lot of upgrades that you need to do, if any. But it may also be of interest to people who are looking for multiple properties, because there's 4 to a building. It's easy enough that you can purchase an entire building and then you manage it as such. So you've got 4 different families that are staying in there. So a lot of different options, you know, and it's a very strong rental market, as it is very strong rental market actually in Orlando. There's a shortage of rentals, and when I say Orlando, I'm speaking of the region, not just Orlando. So where are you? Do you have the retreat?
I don't have it on that.
We don't have the retreat.
It's a brand new project.
Okay, so we don't have that on the PowerPoint, but let's talk a little bit about the retreat, because that's also in the same ballpark as far as the money that you need for that one. So tell us about the retreat. So
the retreat is situated 20 minutes from Disney, 15 to 20 minutes from Disney, so perfect location for short-term rental. They're 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, fully furnished for the price. So there is nothing else that you have to take out of your pocket to close on these particular properties. You don't have to buy the furniture. It's got a fantastic clubhouse, lazy river, swimming pools, tennis courts, basketball courts, you name it. It's got everything there. Now, there's only 38 units, I believe, left here already. They're selling very quickly. 36, I apologize, 36. They're selling extremely quickly. They're all overlooking water. They all have balconies. And the price of them starts at $159,900, which is absolutely perfect price.
It's kind of unheard of in this market as far as short-term rentals as well, isn't it?
Yeah, prices are going up quickly. So that is the price point. If you're looking to get into the market, this is the one you really want to take a look at.
And this is the one that you can use then anytime
you can
that
use
like.
it whenever you want to yourselves. Yes.
Again, lease backs available on this one, but many people, you know, we're finding that some are interested in the lease back and some are not. You know, they're going to rent very well. both of these properties actually will work very well if you do it, without a lease back or if you opt for it. So at that price point, it's hard to go wrong with either.
Absolutely. I mean, you're
project.
looking at taking what, £40,000